what? Say what? One more time.
We kick things off with our signature segment, Say What, where we roll out some of the most wacky, astonishing, and damnable things uttered by politicians and the chattering class. The Democrats were just chomping at the bit to get the disgraced, convicted liar and former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen back in the spotlight, counting on him to say all manner of things about what an awful person the president is, and he cooperated fully, answering questions for 3 days, including 8 hours in a public session on Wednesday, and the Democrats dredged up every piece of dirt they could find on Trump and spread it around their members of their committee to ask questions on. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a whole lot of this, except for one clip that encapsulates the entire hearings and the kind of questions which had to leave ordinary folk wondering, is this what we sent these people to Washington for? This is Cohen and California Congresswoman Jackie Speier.
Did Mr. Trump tell you to offer Vladimir Putin a free penthouse? There is an elevator tape that has been referenced as a catch and kill product. It was evidently of Mr. Trump and a woman. Is there a love child? How many times did Mr. Trump ask you to threaten an individual or entity on his behalf?
Quite a few times.
50 times?
More.
100 times?
More.
200 times?
More.
500 times?
Probably.
Yes, that's what passes for a Democrat-led congressional investigation these days. And after the public hearing was over, Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings dropped a bombshell in answering a question from a reporter.
Do you believe that the president committed a crime while in office?
Based on what, looking at the text and listening to Mr. Cohen, it appears that he did.
Okay, well, that settles the issue now, doesn't it? They couldn't get him on Russia collusion, so they'll now be digging under every rock to uncover financial crimes. And if that doesn't work, they'll find something else. We'll talk more about this whole show trial or show hearing later on with LibertyNation.com legal affairs editor Scott Cosenza. Meanwhile, there was a remarkable exchange this week between California Senator Dianne Feinstein and a group of kids that were visiting her office in San Francisco, ranging from 10 years old up to maybe 16, maybe 18, that reveals everything you need to know about how our children are being taught that climate change is a mortal and immediate threat to the planet. And perhaps inspired by the young socialist sensation Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they demanded immediate and radical action.
We are trying to ask you to vote yes on the Green New Deal.
Well, there are reasons why I can't, because there's no way to pay for it.
Yes, there is.
That's
we
the
have
big
tons of
reason.
money going to the military. A lot of ours is going to the military.
But we have
your
come
copy.
to a point where our Earth is dying, literally.
Some scientists have said that we have 12 years to turn this around.
Well, it's not
The
going to get
government's
turned
supposed-
around in
the-
10 years.
the
What we
government's
can do
Senator, if
is
this
put
doesn't get turned
ourselves-
around in 10 years, you're looking at the faces of the people who are going to be living with these
Guess what?
consequences.
The government
And-
is supposed to be for the people and by the people.
I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. You come in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway. I don't respond to that.
I told you, that says everything about the left circa 2019. There's no way to pay for it. But we spend all that money on the military. Our Earth is dying. The government is supposed to be for the people, by the people. The world is ending, and we don't care if the government seizes control of the whole economy and spends tens of trillions of dollars on the Green New Deal while the rest of the world continues using fossil fuels. We have to do it for the children. And you wonder why the suicide rate has increased so much. These kids being taught that the world is on the eve of destruction. Meanwhile, AOC said she may be 29 years old while Feinstein is 85, but that doesn't mean a thing.
I don't think that working on an issue for 30 years alone is what qualifies is what makes someone qualified to solve an issue. If you think that a carbon tax alone and no other intervention is going to fix climate change, you're part of the problem.
So now Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is attacking not just evil conservatives, but senior members of her own party in her infinite wisdom. And no one, not a single person in the Democratic Party, unless you count Feinstein, is willing to do or say one thing to stop her from dragging the party into full-on socialism. And let me tell you, they will come to regret that on Election Day 2020. Now, speaking of socialists, Bernie Sanders got into a bit of a pickle this week when he was asked about another radical socialist idea being floated by the Democrats, reparations for the descendants of slaves. He was asked about it at a town hall meeting on CNN.
Part of the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow in the U.S. is the legacy of income inequality in the U.S. What is your position on reparations to the descendants of slaves?
There are massive disparities that must be addressed. We have to do everything that we can to end institutional racism in this country. So we're going to do everything we can to put resources into distressed communities and improve lives for those people who have been hurt from the legacy of slavery.
So what is your position specifically on reparations? In 2016, you said it would be divisive, reparations.
Well, again, it depends on what the word means. And I know you don't want to be divisive tonight.
Whoops. Sounds a bit like depends what the meaning of is. But when Bernie's not busy talking about and hawking his socialist ideas, he lays out all the usual horrible things about Trump as if the other 24 or so Democratic candidates won't do exactly the same thing.
It is unacceptable and un-American, to be frank with you, that we have a president who is a pathological liar, and it gives me no pleasure to say that, but it's true. We have a president who is a racist, who is a sexist, who is a xenophobe.
Oh my, he left out homophobe. Oh, and he left out Hitler. I'm sure that's about all you can take of leftists for now, so we'll take a break and come back to discuss the abrupt ending of talks between Trump and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
Exhausted by all the fake news? On LibertyNation.com's YouTube channel, facts and fresh, bold analysis are what you get without the leftist spin. Subscribe today to the LibertyNation.com YouTube channel because
truth is
making a comeback.